First, we're taking you to the eastern Asian country of Japan, which has just weathered its strongest typhoon in decades. Japanese public broadcast company NHK reports that at least 6 people have died and 160 have been injured since Typhoon Jebi made landfall on Tuesday. It hit the southern part of the island nation as the equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane. Before it made landfall, Jebi had sustained wind speeds of 87 miles per hour. It soaked some parts of Japan with 20 inches of rain, threatening widespread flooding. It pushed ocean water ashore in a storm surge, and it lashed buildings with rain and wind strong enough to rip off roofs. Hundreds of flights were canceled in the region. 14,000 people were moved to refuge zones like school gyms and town halls. And a tanker ship was blown from its anchorage at sea into a bridge in southern Japan. Though 11 crew members were aboard at the time, no one was hurt. In the Gulf of Mexico, a tropical storm named Gordon was spinning its way toward Mississippi Tuesday night, and forecasters expected it would develop into a hurricane before it made landfall with sustained winds of at least 74 miles per hour. Gordon's storm surge was expected to be as high as 3 to 5 feet above sea level. States of emergency were declared in Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. That can speed up funding and aid to those who need it. And while people near the beaches and coastal rivers of those states made preparations for the storm, the National Hurricane Center said heavy rain could be expected from the Florida Panhandle all the way to southern Arkansas.
Typhoons are hurricanes, are cyclones. They are the same thing, just in different oceans. A lot like a hot cake is a flapjack, is a pancake, is a short stack. If you are west of the dateline, so west of Hawaii, north of the equator, you're a typhoon. If you're in the Atlantic or the Pacific, around America, you are a hurricane. And if you're around the Indian Ocean or in the southern hemisphere, you're a cyclone. So it's not out of the question for a hurricane to become a typhoon if it moves over the dateline. In fact, after crossing the international dateline, Hurricane Genevieve turned into Typhoon Genevieve a few years ago.
There are currently 8 sitting justices at the U.S. Supreme Court. One retired this summer, and Senate hearings are entering their second day Wednesday for President Donald Trump's choice to fill the vacancy. The nominee is Brett Kavanaugh. He's currently a U.S. Court of Appeals judge. His first day of hearings was yesterday, and it got off to a tense start. Some protesters were escorted out of the room for shouting as the hearing began. There were also attempts by Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee to interrupt and postpone the hearing. Some said they wanted more time to review 42,000 documents related to Judge Kavanaugh that were released the night before the hearing. Republicans said more than 500,000 documents had already been released before then. And with the U.S. midterm elections scheduled for November 6th, some Democrats have indicated they want to slow down these proceedings until after the elections take place, while Republicans have signaled they want to get Judge Kavanaugh confirmed to the High Court before the elections. Analysts expect that Judge Kavanaugh's nomination will move forward as scheduled despite yesterday's delays. The U.S. Constitution doesn't specify how many justices need to serve in the High Court, and the actual number of them fluctuated until Congress set the number at 9. That happened in 1869, and it's been that way ever since.